Man, that's cap. Bro, that's straight facts.
What's going on, Just Hoop Talk Nation? This is Cap or Facts with Justin Henry. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can catch all future episodes. I got two amazing topics to go over. Sure to get you guys in the comments here, so let's get into it. But before we do, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel so you can catch all future episodes. Hit the little red button down below, and we're gonna get started. The first topic is, there's a ton of awards this year. They're obviously going to have the MVP. It's a tough award. Coach of the Year is a tough award. But I want to talk about one award that I think is going to be the most challenging of them all. The Most Improved Player Award is going to be the most challenging award of all. Is that cap or is that facts? And I'm going to go with facts. We got some interesting players here for this Most Improved Player Award. Up to bat, man. First, I want to talk about Christian Wood. Christian Wood averaging 13-6 last year. Now he's averaging 23-10 this year. He has been a beast. And if you weren't paying attention to the Detroit Pistons last year, you missed his rise there towards the end of the season. Christian Wood has been balling out, not just this year, but towards the end of last year, and even probably if he would have played more minutes, would have had a chance to win the award last year. But Christian Wood is not going anywhere. He's not just a flash in the pan. He's someone that's going to be around and be an impact for this Houston Rockets team. And depending what happens with James Harden and the whole situation there, this is a player that could become a marquee player, a franchise player for this organization as long as John Wall is with the team. It's a good pairing, John Wall and Christian Wood. Kind of gives them a little bit of inside, outside presence. And Christian Wood, man, he not only has the inside game, but he has the outside game. He has the defense. He can push the ball up the floor. If you haven't checked out Christian Wood, if you haven't checked out the Houston Rockets, he's a player to watch, a stretch forward with size. He dunks on people, man. He's got the three-point game as well. Some highlight defensive plays. Make sure you're checking out Christian Wood. He is a game changer for the Houston Rockets organization, but he's not the only player up for this award. Michael Porter Jr., before he was, in coronavirus isolation, he was putting up some career numbers as well. Last year for the Denver Nuggets, coming off the bench, he was averaging only 9 points, 4 boards, but this year he turned it up. And I think it was set to go a little bit higher before he had to go into the COVID protocol. He was averaging 20-7. And so this guy is a franchise player as well. He's somebody that will be an all-star for many years. But what we were seeing out of Michael Porter Jr. would have given Christian Wood a lot of run for his money. And averaging 20 points is not an easy feat here in the NBA, especially with a team like Denver, who already has 2 all-star caliber players in Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. So Michael Porter Jr. was another threat to win the Most Improved Player Award. Colin Sexton is another player who has that Cleveland Cavaliers team playing really well right now, and he was averaging 20 points, 3 boards, 3 assists last season, and has turned it up to 25, 3 and 2 this year. But I don't think he's going to last. I think he's a hot name for Most Improved Player because the Cavs are playing pretty well. But I don't think that the points are sustainable. He's averaging about 25 points a game right now. And I think as the season goes on, he might be a little closer to those normal numbers. I can see him averaging about 22, maybe 23, a slight uptick, but not enough to be in the Most Improved Player Award, even though he's a hot person that people are talking about. Somebody that I think is flying under the radar for this Most Improved conversation is Darius Bazley for the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's averaging right now 12 points, 9 boards a game, which is a really good number for him, especially coming off of a 5-4 campaign last year. This is a guy who is an impact player, another player who is going to be there for the long term, coming off of just a normal rookie season. They're giving him a ton of minutes, giving him a ton of chances to make plays, and he's making those plays for this team. I expect his performance to continue to increase as the season goes on. And the last player that I think is a real threat to make a push for Most Improved Player as well, Jeremy Grant. We saw his impact there in the bubble last season, what he's able to do defensively, but he took the challenge and headed from Denver to Detroit to make his stake for the offensive threat that he is as well. Last year, in limited action, he averaged 12 points, 3 boards. And this season, he's doubled up both of those, 24-6 so far through this campaign. And it looks like he has room to either keep that going or even make it better, depending on Blake Griffin's health, Killian Hayes is now out for the year. So Jeremy Grant has a chance to really put together an all-star level campaign. And if you're averaging 24 and 6, doubling your efforts, that's also a strong case for most improved players. So I think at the end of the day, there's going to be about 3 or 4 real considerations here for this award, making it the toughest award that's going to be chosen. So if Christian Wood won it, Michael Porter Jr. won it, Jeremy Grant, Darius Bazley, I wouldn't be surprised if any of those guys won it, and all their performances so far are sustainable. There's none of those players that I just mentioned have performances that are not sustainable in action. All of those guys can put up those numbers throughout the course of the season. I mentioned Colin Sexton as a player who might have a little bit of a fall off. I think that's just points. Points are tough to average, 25 throughout the whole season. It's a tough number. He could do it, but I think with that team, you're going to expect a little bit of a decline as the season goes on. So Colin Sexton's not somebody there that I put in there. Obviously, another player, Julius Randle for the New York Knicks, is playing at a high level right now, averaging close to a triple-double. He's averaging 22, 12, and 7. So off the campaign last year where he was playing really well, he's been a spark for that team. But I think this is probably a 3-4 horse race, and I could see any of those guys winning it. The next cap or facts I want to talk about is a brother conversation. Lonzo and Lamelo Ball have been going at it this year. So they played, obviously, had a good matchup there, a little brotherly matchup. And obviously people are wondering, who's going to be the better Ball brother. My co-host Will has a show called The Rooks, and he talked about Lamelo Ball's impact. But I want to dive into a little bit of comparison. I'm not trying to put these guys against each other, but it's fun to try to project career paths. Cap or facts? LaMelo Ball will have a better career than Lonzo Ball. Is that cap or is that facts? And I'm going to go with cap. I know what you're thinking, man. Have you seen LaMelo Ball play? Have you seen him? He just had a triple-double. Youngest player ever to have a triple-double. And you know what? I love LaMelo's game, man. I love what he's able to do. I think he's a great player, has a high basketball IQ, underrated defender, is going to be one of the better passers that we see for the next decade. LaMelo Ball is going to have a great career. But where I think this conversation is doing a disservice is the lack of respect for Lonzo Ball's career. Lonzo Ball at one point, people forget this, Lonzo Ball at one point was the youngest player ever to have a triple-double. He also scored 29 points. His first was his second game in the league. So you're talking about somebody who, maybe he's not the same scorer as LaMelo, and he's not showing the same growth as a scorer, but he's able to do those things. And I think that goes a little bit unnoticed. He's had like 6 or 7 triple-doubles in his career. So some of the things that we're seeing out of LaMelo Ball, we've already seen out of Lonzo Ball. What we haven't seen, and what we've already seen with Lonzo, we haven't seen with LaMelo is the decline, the struggles, the growing pains. What are we going to see from LaMelo Ball moving forward? Lonzo came into the league. He was pretty much a starter from the jump, got starter minutes, and, ended up playing with LeBron too, so I had to take on a lesser role. So his progression went through a little bit of rocky curve. Had a lot of pressure there in LA with him and his dad coming in and bringing a little bit of extra attention for good or for worse. But what we have seen with Lonzo is one of the best defenders in the league at his position. Also seen a very high basketball IQ and an improved jumper. So where I think LaMelo Ball is much stronger as a scorer, he's a little bit more willing to take shots and create offense for his team with his role right now on the bench. Lonzo Ball is a little bit more of a pure passer, a little bit more of a pure point guard in that he's going to take on the top wing player defensively. He's going to make the correct basketball play instead of taking, maybe a more difficult shot. He may not always make the flashy pass, but he'll make the right pass more often than not. So where I think that Lonzo Ball may be deficient in scoring, I think that LaMelo Ball is going to pick up some of that, but then also not have the same point guard play that you're expecting. Be like asking the same thing from a defensive point guard and an offensive point guard. You're going to get 2 different things. So I think LaMelo Ball may have the better individual career when you're talking scoring, assists, defense. But I think Lonzo Ball is going to be part of a championship team here at some point in his career. And it'll be because of his efforts defensively and passing the ball, moving the offense, that'll change this team. When you look at their passing, you look at their defense, they're very similar players in that they're high IQ players. They move the ball around. They push the pace. And then when you look at defensively, I know people really like what Lamelo does defensively this year, but looking at the steals numbers, averaging over a steal and a half a game. But a lot of his are playing the passing lane. And when you're talking basketball, there's different types of players too. So Lonzo, I would say, is a better on-ball defender at this point in his career than Lamelo is. I'm not saying that Lamelo can't get there, but Lamelo's a little bit better at playing the passing lanes. And it seems like that he's willing to take a little bit more gambles, not just defensively, but offensively as well. And where Lonzo struggled a little bit early on with his shot, and he's still having some struggles now with his shot. I think LaMelo Ball seeing a little bit more success with that early on in his, the first 5-10 games of his career. We have to see what that progression looks like. I think everybody's ready to crown LaMelo as the next great player, and I think that he can be a future All-Star, future even, a high All-NBA, All-Pro player. LaMelo Ball does have that skill set, but where I think it matters is, can you make your teammates better, which he does right now, man. It's fun watching LaMelo Ball, but can you make your teammates better as the lead dog in that role? I like what both LaMelo and Lonzo bring to the table, and I think that they'll both have excellent careers. But I think it's tough to crown LaMelo Ball right now. We have not seen Lonzo finish out his career. We have not seen LaMelo finish out his career, and it depends on the team around him too. We got to see LaMelo go through some ups and some downs. And I think this rookie year will be telling. If he has some similar success to what he's having early on, the narrative could change and you guys could be right. So let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. You guys think LaMelo is going to have a better career than Lonzo? I know it's easy to say right now, but Lonzo's done a lot of the same things that LaMelo is doing currently. We just forget. It's easy to forget when it's not here in front of us right now. But 2017 was a whole different year. We were talking Lonzo Ball getting triple-double, struggling with the shot later in the season, but scoring high early on. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. And then also, let me know about most improved player too. Who do you guys have as the most improved player so far in this short, young season? Let me know in the comments, cap or facts. And that's a wrap. Justin Henry, I'm out.